Chapter 5. One man's meat is another man's poison. Sickness comes when people draw apart from nature. The severity of the disease is directly proportional to the degree of separation. Masunobu Fufukawa, 1978. The human body is part of nature. It is subject to the same laws that all life forms on earth obey. We humans consider ourselves to be cleverer and more sophisticated than animals, but our bodies don't think so. It is your own body that heals itself, not the doctor, not the medicine or anything else. In order to heal from any disease, we must work with the body, not throw things at it or even fight it. We need to listen to our bodies. We must learn to be in touch with their needs. Food has a profound effect on the human body. Many people realize that and try to manipulate their diet in order to recover from a disease or improve their health. But what we need to understand is that we are all different. Every one of us is a unique individual. So one size fits all never works. That is why we have such a bewildering number of diets being proposed. High carbohydrate, low carbohydrate, high fat, low fat, high protein, low protein, all raw, all cooked, etc., etc. And the interesting thing is that every diet suits some people and does not suit others. Why is that? Because it takes two to tango, which means that there is no such thing as a bad food per se or a good food per se, without taking into account a very important factor. Who is eating it? Not only who is eating it, but also what state that person is in. Let's try and understand this in more detail. We all have a different heredity and constitution. If your predecessors were Vikings or Eskimos, then chances are that you will generally need to eat lots of fish, meat, and fat. But if your predecessors came from a Mediterranean culture or some tropical area of the world, then you will probably need more carbohydrates in your diet. Ancient Chinese and Ayurvedic medicines try to classify different constitutional types and would not dream of applying diet or herbs without this knowledge, as different constitutional types need very different approaches. Constitution is just one factor. There are many more. Throughout our lives, our bodies go through anabolic, catabolic cycles. In other words, cycles of building itself up and cleansing itself. There is a daily building, cleansing cycle, a seasonal one, and as it necessary ones that can take place at any time. To build itself, your body needs very different nutrients from those it uses for cleansing itself. Animal foods are generally building, while plant foods are generally cleansing. Only your body knows what it needs at every moment of your life. Depending on what your body is doing at the time, depending on the season of the year, on the weather and the level of stress you are under, your body can switch between different ways of energy production, using glucose, for example, or using fats. Only your body knows what is appropriate at any particular moment of your existence, and it requires very different nutrients for different patterns of energy production. We all have an automatic nervous system which is responsible for all the autopilot functions of the body, for your heart beating, for your blood circulating, for your digestive system feeding you, etc. The autonomic nervous system is made out of two branches, a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. These two systems generally work in opposition to each other, providing a very complex balance in every function of the body. Again, depending on an infinite number of factors, daily cycle of activity and sleep, season, weather, stress, infection, feeding, cleansing, your occupation at the time, etc., you will shift from being sympathetic dominant to parasympathetic dominant. This shift can happen several times every day, every few days, or every season, and it is different in different age groups. The important thing is that these two branches of our nervous system require very different sets of nutrients in order to be fed. One likes meat and fat, while the other needs more plant foods. Only your body knows what proportions of protein, fat, carbohydrate it needs at any given moment of your life. No laboratory or scientist will be able to calculate this for you. Then there is the acid-alkaline balance in the body, which again changes all the time every day depending on many factors. There is a myth in nutritional circles that being acid is bad, and that all of us have to strive to be alkaline all the time. Different foods have been classified as alkalizing, such as fruit and vegetables, or acidifying, such as grains and meats. This is too simple. Your body shifts from alkaline to acid states all the time, depending on many factors. Activity of your autonomic nervous system, the type of energy production at the time, your hormonal profile at the time, respiration and kidney functions, many of which in turn change accordingly to daily cycle, season, weather, and your activity. Depending on all those factors, an apple, for example, which is considered to be an alkalizing food, can make your body acid, while a piece of meat, which is considered to be acidifying, can make your body alkaline. Only your body knows how to use foods at any given moment of your life. Only your body has the inner intelligence to make these impossibly complex calculations. As if that is not enough, then there is a water and electrolyte balance in the body, which also shifts all the time depending on many factors. Our mainstream medicine pronounced salt to be evil and recommends reducing its consumption. Processed salt should not be consumed, just as all processed foods should not be consumed. However, natural unprocessed salt, such as Himalayan crystal salt or Celtic salt, contains more than 90 minerals and not only is good for us, it is essential for our bodies to maintain the right water electrolyte balance. Then there is a myth that we need to drink lots of water every day. Different amounts in liters per day are prescribed in nutritional literature. Following that advice blindly can get you into a lot of trouble if your body is low on electrolytes and needs salt instead of water. No matter how clever we think we are, we cannot calculate how much salt or water we should consume at any given time. Only your body knows that, and it has excellent ways of telling you what it needs. Thirst for water, desire for salt, or any particular food that may have the right mineral composition. Make no mistake, your body knows the nutrient composition of the foods on this planet. These are just a few factors to demonstrate to you that no laboratory, no clever doctor or scientist, and no clever book can calculate for you what you should be eating at 8 a.m. or 1 p.m. or 6 p.m. or in between. Only your body has the unsurpassed intelligence to figure out what it needs at any given moment of your life, as your nutritional needs change all the time, every minute, every hour, and every day. So what do? How do we feed ourselves properly? The answer is this: get back in touch with your body's inner intelligence. Just think, if your body needs so much protein right now, so much fat, plus so much carbohydrate, so much of vitamin B12, and so much of vitamin C, how would it let you know that it needs this particular composition of nutrients? And even if your body has a way of letting you know all this information, how would you go about providing this mix of nutrients? How are you to calculate all these factors and provide the right amounts? Well, Mother Nature is kind and it is not asking us to do anything so complicated. Instead, it gave us senses of smell, taste, desire for a particular food, and a sense of satisfaction after eating it. So when your body needs a particular mix of nutrients, it will give you a desire for a particular food, which contains just that right mix. This particular food will smell divine to you and taste wonderful, and you will feel satisfied after eating it. But in an hour or two, the needs of your body will change, and that particular food will not be appealing anymore, Instead, you will have a desire for another food, which nutritionally will serve you correctly for that particular moment of your life. So the only way for us to serve our bodies properly with the right food is to be in touch with our senses. Let us think about it a little more. The desire for a particular food. The word desire has somewhat a negative feel for many people. Thanks to centuries of religious and political conditioning, desire is considered to be something we have to resist and must not succumb to. Yet desire for a particular food is the main way your body tells you what it needs at any particular moment nutritionally. When you get hungry, stop and think, what would I desire to eat right now? What is the most appealing food for me right now? Then forget all about the books you have read, forget all about the nutritional mantras about what you have to eat at a particular time of day, and just ask the question. The answer will come immediately, and just the thought of that particular food will fill your mouth with saliva. Respect your desire. Desire is your inner body intelligence talking to you, letting you know what it needs to keep you healthy, energetic, and happy. If you listen to your desire every time you eat, you will be able to digest that food well, and it will do you only good because you have eaten it at the right time, just when your body asks for it. The trouble is that in our modern commercial world, people's desires for food have been manipulated through the use of addictive and taste-altering chemicals in processed foods. Yes, many processed foods contain chemicals specifically designed to make the food addictive. Listening to your desire only applies to natural foods, foods that Mother Nature has designed. Stop eating processed foods and your normal sense of desire for food will return. The sense of smell. Have you ever observed animals? They will never put anything in their mouths without smelling it first. Why? Because wild animals are fully in touch with their instincts, their inner body intelligence. The sense of smell gives your body a lot of information about the food. Is it safe to eat? Has it been contaminated by chemicals or microbes? Is it fresh? And most importantly, is it appropriate for your bodily needs at the moment? So before putting anything into your mouth, smell it. If it is the right food for you at the moment, it will smell very appealing. If it is not the right food, it will smell repulsive. Respect your sense of smell and listen to it. The trouble is that many people in your modern world have a damaged sense of smell due to use of synthetic perfumes. All scented man-made chemicals such as laundry detergents, domestic cleaning chemicals, so-called air fresheners, and perfumes block the olfactory receptors, the smell receptors, in your nose. Your nose has a limited number of olfactory receptors, and once they are blocked by a chemical, new molecules of that chemical coming in have nothing to attach to, so you cannot smell it anymore. We all have met people who smell like a perfume factory, but they do not realize just how excessively they apply their perfume, because they cannot smell it anymore. The smell receptors in their nose are blocked with that chemical. The same happens with common laundry detergents, which are very powerful perfumes, in order to disguise the unpleasant smell of the detergent itself. People who use these detergents regularly are unable to smell them anymore, because these people are exposed to this smell all the time from their clothes, towels, and bedding. These people cannot smell their food properly either, as the smell receptors in their nose are permanently occupied by their laundry detergent. To restore your sense of smell, remove all perfumed chemicals from your environment. Replace your laundry detergent with a non-scented natural one, and do not use any perfumes, scented personal care products, or air fresheners. In a few weeks, your olfactory receptors will have cleaned themselves, and your sense of smell will return. The sense of taste. Food is one of the greatest pleasures of life, and so it must be. If the food is not pleasurable, then it is the wrong food for you at the moment, no matter how healthy it is supposed to be. So listen to your sense of taste and respect it. It is your friend, as it is one of the channels of communication between your body's inner intelligence and your conscious mind. How else would your body tell you that it needs a particular mix of nutrients, but by giving you great pleasure from consuming them in the form of food? The trouble is that many people have an altered or dulled sense of taste due to regular consumption of processed foods. Many processed foods contain taste-altering chemicals, which are deliberately added to the food. These chemicals are not only toxic, but can alter your perception of taste for a long time. So it is essential to stop consuming processed foods in order to restore your normal sense of taste. Many nutritional deficiencies can alter the perception of taste. Zinc and protein deficiencies are particularly known for this. As you start consuming a natural, wholesome diet, your nutritional deficiencies will diminish and your sense of taste will return. Toxins in your mouth can also alter your perception of taste. Try to brush your teeth with cold-pressed olive oil or any other cold-pressed oil instead of toothpaste. This Ayurvedic procedure has a good record in detoxifying the mouth. Working with a holistic dentist is very important, as many dental materials in the mouth can make it toxic and alter your sense of taste. The sense of satisfaction after eating. If you have eaten a meal appropriate for your body's nutritional needs at the time, you will feel fully satisfied. There will be no cravings for something else, only a nice comfortable feeling of satisfaction, which will allow you to focus on other things in your life and forget about food for a while. It is important not to overeat so you don't feel stuffed. However, if you listen to your sense of pleasure from food, then you will not overeat because you would stop eating as soon as the food stops being pleasurable. Pleasure on, pleasure off are the signals your body gives you to let you know about its needs. Your sense of pleasure will keep you eating as long as your body still needs the nutrients from that particular food. As soon as your body has had enough of these nutrients, the food will stop giving you pleasure. An exception to this rule is a person with cravings for sweet things. Craving for sweet foods is a symptom of unstable blood sugar level. This problem is created by long-term consumption of processed carbohydrates, which damages our blood sugar control in the body. It is essential for these people to stop consuming processed carbohydrates, but it can be very difficult for them because their cravings for sweet and starchy foods, chocolate in particular, are very strong. For these people, I recommend making a mixture of raw butter or coconut oil and raw honey to taste. Put it in a glass jar, which you can carry with you, and eat a few spoonfuls every 20 to 30 minutes all day. This will keep your blood sugar level stable and allow you to overcome cravings for chocolate and other sweet things. Depending on how damaged the blood sugar controls are in your body, you may have to eat the butter-honey mixture for a week, a month, or a couple of months. The important thing is to use this time for changing your diet to remedy the problem permanently. As your blood sugar regulation normalizes, you will be able to gradually reduce and stop eating the butter-honey mixture. It takes time to normalize blood sugar control in your body, and the most effective way to deal with it is to increase your fat consumption, particularly animal fats. So consume plenty of animal fats with your meals, within your pleasure zone, of course, and they will allow you to remove processed carbohydrates from your life. So our sense of smell, taste, and desire for a particular food and a sense of satisfaction after eating it are our friends. Let us work on developing these senses and using them fully to our advantage. How do we apply this wisdom? Any diet you follow is not set in stone. You have to adapt it for your unique body, for its unique daily needs. Books on diet prescribe what foods you can eat. However, when you eat these foods and in what proportions is up to you. Listen to your body's needs communicated to you through the senses of desire, smell, taste, and satisfaction. For example, one day you may feel like only an apple for breakfast, but next day you may enjoy a large cooked breakfast made from eggs, bacon, sausages, and vegetables. For example, at one meal you were very happy to eat some roasted pork, but at another meal you do not feel like eating meat and are much happier to eat vegetables and yogurts. Your body will let you know what proportions of protein, fat, and carbohydrate to have at every meal. How? Through desire for particular food. So when you sit down to a family meal, eat only what appeals to you at the time, and in the amounts that appeal to you. I will give you an interesting example of how strongly our body can communicate its needs to us through desire. I know a young man who watched a film about industrial farming and decided to become a vegan. After a month of veganism, he was walking along a street and a smell of roasting chicken wafted from the open door of one of the shops. Before he knew it, he had bought a whole chicken and consumed it in one go outside the shop. This was done almost in a trance, and the young man had no control over this episode. His body demanded particular nutrition at that moment, which could be found only in a whole roasted chicken. Not in a chicken breast, but in the skin, the fat, the brown meat, cartilage, and all the other tissues of a whole chicken. You are unique, and nobody can prescribe the right mixture of food for you. Listen to your desire. This is your body telling you what particular nutrients it needs at this particular time. If you deny your body what you need, you may get yourself into trouble. Your electrolyte balance may get upset, or your hormones may not work well, or something else will not work. Remember, your body knows indefinitely more about itself than we will ever know with our intelligence and science. Remember also that your body's nutritional needs change all the time, so your desire for foods will also change all the time. What felt wonderfully satisfying for breakfast may not be appealing for lunch, and what was delicious in the afternoon may feel repulsive at dinner time. All these feelings are very valid and should be listened to. You are a unique individual, so what suits one person around the table may not suit you at all. What about babies and children? Babies and children spend the first few years of their lives learning about their environment, and food is a major part of this environment. In the first few years of life, starting from the first introduction of solids, children need to develop a positive relationship with food. It is extremely important to do this at this stage in their lives because if it is missed, then many problems can follow. Not only feeding problems, but problems in behavior, attitude, emotions, and even learning. When introducing first foods for your baby, remember, all the senses of the child must be involved in the process. The sense of touch, sight, smell, taste, etc. Our babies need to touch the food, to feel the temperature and texture of it on their fingers, the aroma and the look of it. Then they need to use the movement receptors in their muscles to transfer the food to their mouth. This must be a voluntary act, coming from the child's own decision to do that. This is very important. Then they need to smell and taste it. Then chew and swallow. Then their body and stomach will give them feedback on how this food is affecting their insides and their whole body. This completes the experience. This is a very complex mixture of sensory input that their little brains are facing for the first time, and it is absolutely essential for the normal development of the child. New receptors, connections, and centers are formed in the brain of the child during this process that affect deeply the emotional profile of this person, their general personality, and attitude to life. In order to make this a healthy process, it is essential to let babies and small children eat with their hands. In fact, using cutlery and being too intent on keeping things clean at this stage is harmful for the child's development. This stage is very short, and the time of clean eating with manners will come soon enough. But in the first 2 to 3 years of life, being messy is the best thing for your child. By all means, give them a spoon and use another spoon to feed them, but the food should be in front of the children. Their hands should be in the food, and they should be deeply involved in consuming the food themselves. When the child is being fed by someone else and is not allowed to be fully involved in the process, the brain does not develop the way it should, because it receives a limited sensory input. It must be a voluntary experience for the child, an act they are deeply involved in, for their brains to develop new receptors and wake up new centers. The same food, prepared differently, is a new experience for the child. For example, baked apple is very different from a raw apple or an apple pie. Even different varieties of apples can be perceived differently. So different recipes need to be explored, and the child needs to be introduced to them gradually. Many people don't realize just what a big part of our lives food is. As far as babies are concerned, it is a huge part of their introduction to life on this planet and their harmonious development. This development stage will affect the way their whole life will unfold, because it shapes their emotional profiles and their personalities. If you invest into this developmental stage at a very early age, the rewards will be great for your children for the rest of their lives. Children who are allowed to develop a healthy relationship with food usually have positive and sunny personalities. Children who were not allowed to touch their food and explore it on their terms have a stifled development. They finish up with a handicapped attitude to the world and an inappropriate relationship with food, often leading to fussy eating habits, eating disorders, and health problems. In order for the child to develop normal senses in relation to food, the child needs natural, healthy foods full of flavor and taste, rich and satisfying. The food must be homemade from fresh, natural ingredients. It is very upsetting to see some modern mothers working intently on their child's table manners while feeding the child some processed concoction from a packet instead of putting her effort into preparing a wholesome meal for her child. A mother's love for her child must flow to the child through food first and foremost. From the moment of birth, it flows through her milk. As a baby gets ready for solids, the mother's love must flow through the food which she prepared for her child with love and care. In conclusion to this chapter, I would like to say that Mother Nature took billions of years to design the human body. It is an incredibly intelligent creation. As the natural foods on this planet have been designed during the same time, your inner body intelligence knows their composition. It knows what foods to choose for particular needs. All we have to do is treat this intelligence with respect. Use your senses of smell, taste, desire for food, and satisfaction from eating it to guide you in your decisions. When to eat, what foods to eat, and in what combinations. And remember, you are unique, so what suits your neighbor may not suit you at all.